Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News show. Let's begin with our daily news. Mikel Arteta says Arsenal player was kicked in a training, couldn't play versus Barcelona. Mikel Arteta has revealed that a new Arsenal signing, Declan Rice, wasn't available against Barcelona after receiving a strong kick in a training. Arteta, in his post-match comment via Football London, said they didn't want to take a risk with the 24-year-old's injury. Arteta explained that Declan Rice wasn't entirely comfortable and no risk was taken. Arteta said, Declan had quite a strong kick in training, so we didn't want to take the risk. He wasn't really comfortable training yesterday, and we decided not to train. The update will come as a relief to Arsenal fans who may have feared the worst when their £105 million was missing from the squad with an injury. Fullback Zinchenko was also missing from the game, and Arteta confirmed he had a muscular issue. Arteta did say that he hopes the former Manchester City man will be back soon. Arsenal, of course, now head back to London, and their next friendly is a midweek clash with Monaco in the Emirates Cup, and closely following is the FA Community Shield against Manchester City, the traditional new season curtain raiser. Arteta will surely be hoping that both Rice and Zinchenko are fit for the game after injury as he aims to start the season with a full complement. Although Declan Rice was missing, Arsenal fans will be pleased to see their side produce another strong pre-season showing. Arteta's 5-3 win against Barcelona will be something of a reassurance after the minor blip against Manchester United. Albeit, pre-season, when result should not be the headline, Arsenal fans will never enjoy a loss against United. However, the momentum Arsenal are now gaining is very encouraging as they aim to go one better than their runners-up spot last season. Arteta will be hoping the likes of Rice, when he returns shortly from injury, will be the catalyst for a title challenge with more longevity. His side now has the exciting challenge of balancing their league campaign with the long-missed UEFA Champions League. Media left amazed by £45 million Arsenal players' display versus Barcelona. Arsenal picked up a 5-3 win against Barcelona in a pre-season friendly, and Gabriel Jesus has impressed the media with his display. Mikel Arteta's men put an emphatic attack performance against the La Liga giants off the back of a 2-0 defeat to Manchester United over the weekend. The Gunners found themselves behind inside the opening 10 minutes of the game as Robert Lewandowski opened the scoring. Bukayo Saka quickly leveled things up, but Arsenal fell behind once again after Rafinha's deflected free kick beat Aaron Ramsdale between the sticks. Kai Havertz got Arsenal back on level terms with a well-taken finish, and the Gunners pulled away in the second half thanks to a brace from Leandro Trossard. Gabriel Jesus set up the Belgian forward for his first of the game, and despite not getting on the score sheet, the Brazilian put in an encouraging display. Jesus looked back to his brilliant past against Barcelona after a difficult end to the last campaign. The 26-year-old was a standout performer for Arsenal after making the £45 million switch from Manchester City last summer, but his form dropped off after returning from a serious knee injury he picked up at the World Cup. And Football London suggested that Jesus had rediscovered his best form against Barca, handing him a 7 out of 10 for his performance. The outlet wrote, looked back to his best, a constant nuisance for the Barcelona backline, who weren't given a minute piece, didn't score but was at the heart of almost everything good Arsenal did going forward. The Daily Mail gave Jesus the same rating for his display and noted that he was involved in many of Arsenal's best moments going forward. They wrote, a live wire up front, aggressively crunched twice in the first 5 minutes, but kept coming back for more, central to many of the team's forays forward. Mikel Arteta yet to make a decision on £32,000 a week Arsenal man's future. Mikel Arteta has given his latest update on the Arsenal future of 22-year-old striker Folarin Balogun. The post-match update via Football London came after Balogun wasn't involved against Barcelona. Mikel Arteta stated that Balogun wasn't available due to a foot injury and gave that as the reason for his individual training. Arteta said, "He was unavailable, he has a little foot injury and hasn't been training with us." When asked if he has an Arsenal future, Arteta said, "We will see. First of all, he needs to be fit and play minutes." The update doesn't seem to bode too well for Arsenal fans, hoping to see Balogun stay at the Emirates this season. The USA international striker had been training away from the squad as mentioned, and report had related that to a possible transfer. However, it now seems that it's predominantly due to injuries that the 22-year-old is missing out. Whether there is also a bit of unrest over a transfer away, who only knows? Either way, Arsenal, Arteta, and Arsenal fans will all be hoping this situation is solved as soon as possible, not only because Arsenal may be able to reinvest the sums, but it's also not practical to have a player of Balogun's quality as third choice. It's hard to see Arteta giving Balogun too many chances ahead of Gabriel Jesus and Edin Ketia, and it does seem that the writing is on the wall. Another thing that does seem certain, Arsenal will not sell their hale and graduate Folarin Balogun for a cut price. If there is one criticism of Arsenal and Arteta over the last few years, it's the transfer fees received for outbound players. Arteta and his squad now head back to London to play in the Emirates Cup, and it remains to be seen if Balogun will feature in Arsenal colours again. £34 million Arsenal player could give Arteta a selection headache next season. Arsenal's Fabio Viera could give Mikel Arteta a big selection headache next season if he finds a level of consistency. That's after Viera scored an incredibly well-taken goal against Barcelona in Arsenal's latest pre-season friendly. Reports commented that Viera was fairly anonymous until his excellent goal, which is a microcosm of his Arsenal career to date. Fabio Viera arrived at Arsenal last summer from Porto for a fee of £34 million. The Portuguese midfielder looked to be an incredibly exciting signing, one full of potential and ability. And whilst none of that has changed, it could be argued that he's wasted his first year under Arteta at the Emirates. He, of course, is enduring an adaptation period adjusting to English football and his new club, but he will have hoped for better. Vieira's main chances came when rotating in for Martin Odegaard, and he ended up featuring in 33 games for Arsenal, scoring 2 goals and registering 6 assists. That might not be too much of a concern for the reasons mentioned, but with Arsenal links to Mohamed Kudus, that definitely should be. Ajax's 22-year-old has a very similar profile in terms of his positions occupied, and even if he doesn't end up signing, Arteta and Arsenal's interest bodes poorly for Vieira. Arsenal fans were enamored with Vieira from day one, given his namesake, and there is no one fans would want to see improve more. Whilst it's harsh to criticize a player for their levels of consistency when their minutes are usually as a sub, it's the starting opportunities that Vieira's failed to take the most. Arteta experimented with Vieira alongside Odegaard in the Granit Xhaka role, and he also simply started him instead of Odegaard at times, and in neither position did Vieira stake a claim for a continued spot. He clearly has immense ability. Just look at his goal against Barcelona and his highlight reel from Porto. But in order to compete in an incredibly strong Arsenal squad, he needs to take his chances, he needs to find his consistency. Great midfielder isn't actually that close to joining Arsenal now, says a journalist. Arsenal have completed 3 blockbuster signings so far this summer, but if reports are to be believed, they are closing in on their 4th edition of the summer. Indeed, reports from Brazil have suggested that Vitalo, a 23-year-old midfielder from Grêmio, is set to sign for Arsenal very soon. However, as ever with this report from Brazil, You have to take this news with a pinch of salt. According to Charles Watts, a much more reliable source on Arsenal, speaking on Inside Arsenal, this deal is nowhere near as close as some would suggest. Indeed, Watts says that Vitalo is being pitched to more mid-table clubs at the moment, and that a move to Arsenal isn't as far down to the lines as some would have you believe. Watts shared what he knows about the great Brazilian. He said, Vitalo, I'm sure you have seen him linked in the Brazilian press, not so much over here. It's a tough one. I have not had full confirmation. What I do know is he is a player who has been offered around to Premier League clubs. Graham, you are open to selling him, and his agent are working to get him a move to the Premier League. I haven't been told that Arsenal are one of the clubs they have spoken to. As far as I am aware, the focus on Vitello coming to the Premier League has been more with mid-table teams, that sort of thing. That's not to say Arsenal haven't been sounded out, but as far as I am aware, at the moment, I don't think it's anywhere near as concrete as the reports in Brazil suggest. This just epitomizes why the transfer window is better known as silly season. Throughout this period, you are going to get tons of report, counter report, fact, fiction, and what is a spin by a club or an agent. Granted, it isn't always easy, and after signing the likes of Martinelli from Brazil, it was easy to believe that this Vitalo move was one to watch, but it appears as though this may be nothing more than a rumor that has gotten out of hand. £40 million player really wants to join Arsenal. Arsenal's transfer window isn't over yet. The Gunners may have already spent around £200 million on a new player, but it looks as though they may still have one trick up their sleeve. Indeed, links to Mohamed Kudus aren't slowing down, and now, according to football transfers, the player himself is open to the transfer. The Ghanaian is reportedly being courted by both Chelsea and Arsenal, but according to this report, Kudus would much rather join Arsenal. In all honesty, it's not hard to understand why Kudus would rather join the Gunners than the Blues. Arsenal's project is one of the most exciting in Europe, especially when you are a young player who can play in multiple positions. The £40 million man certainly fits that bill, capable of playing in the midfield and anywhere across the attack. Kudus is perfect for Mikel Arteta's system. On top of that, he also fits into Arsenal's speedy attacking style. Kudus is one of the quicker players in Europe, according to the Speeds database. Unfortunately for Arsenal, this won't be an easy deal to do. Chelsea are said to be more advanced in negotiations with Ajax on this deal, but if the player had the chance to choose between these two clubs, he would opt for a move to the Emirates rather than Stamford Bridge. Sadly, we have been here before. Mykhailo Mudryk made no secret of the fact that he wanted to join Arsenal in January, but after Chelsea presented a massive offer to Shakhtar Donetsk, he had no choice but to head to West London rather than North London. One thing is for sure, Kudus is certainly a player to keep an eye on. BBC Pundit says Arsenal could win the league if they signed £80 million man now. Arsenal will be hoping to challenge for the Premier League title again this season after running Manchester City so close last term and adding almost £200 million worth of a new talent this summer. The Gunners will be hoping to get their hands on a league title this term. However, according to Stephen Kelly, speaking on the BBC Radio 5 Live Football Daily podcast, the North London club are still one player short. Kelly believes that Arsenal still don't have a striker who is good enough to lead them to a league title, claiming that if the Gunners went and signed Harry Kane from Tottenham, then the conversation would be very different. Kelly gave his verdict on the Gunners and the £80 million man. He said, it's the centre forward. I think if they listen, if Arsenal were to sign Harry Kane, it would be a different ball game. Then we would say they have a chance, but they don't have that right now. They don't have that centre forward who is going to be pivotal. I know Jesus is phenomenal at what he does, but he's never going to score that many goals. It's easy to say that Arsenal need a prolific striker to win a league title, but in our view, that's quite an outdated way to look at things. Did Kelly miss the season 2 years ago when Manchester City won the league without using a recognized number 9 for most of the season? Or last year when Arsenal put up a huge points tally with Gabriel Jesus leading their line? These days, goals don't have to come solely from your strikers, and Arsenal will probably be fine. With that being said, though, the idea of Kane playing in this fluid Arsenal team is mouth-watering, but as we all know, that's never going to happen. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.